This game's 3D models are unrivaled in the gacha genre. Now let me be specific. In certain aspects, Punishing Gray Raven's 3D models beats out their sister game's 3D models. That sister game being Wuthering Waves. Yes, there are some things that are being done in these PGR models that even Wuwa is not doing. But are the wins in those specific categories enough for me to say that in totality they're the best 3D models in the whole genre? Well, first let me tell you about the three aspects I think PGR takes the crown in, and one of them you might not really expect, but after we do that we will go from there and I'll give you my answer. Take a look at Alpha. She's one of the older characters in the roster, but here's her latest model and visuals. And let's put on the forefront her strongest feature right now. Cinematics. In terms of feature animations that usually appear on ultimate attacks, you might be bugging to think that these are not at the top. So this particular animation starts off in a blade drawing stance, charging her energy, then it cuts to this angle where she unsheathes and charges at the enemy. This shot is beautiful and creative. It's taken from an unconventional angle from behind. The perspective detail on the outstretched hand and blade are perfect, showing the intensity at which she's pouncing onto her target. It cuts into a face shot with these ghostly red and blue flames emanating from her eyes, which turns into this ghastly monstrosity, portraying that insatiable destruction machine inside her. Then as for the actual slash, it's potent enough to rip through the seams of reality itself and acclimates to a final burst. In comparison to recent releases, it's fairly direct. You can tell Alpha isn't about showboating, she prefers to simply destroy things quickly and efficiently. Then there's this variation where after the stance, she takes a page out of Metal Gear's books. She wields the blade in both hands and starts hacking away like a madman. And this is a reference to the blade mode in Metal Gear Rising. Raiden would park himself on the bottom left of your screen, and you were essentially able to go Matrix time in this mode and precisely control the angle of every cut with the analog stick. It was a really iconic mechanic. It does get condensed in Alpha's attack. It starts with her holding her blade with support from her other hand, then cuts to this dark red-eyed shot. And some other awesome details you can see here are the fluids coursing through her body, seen on her back, and the back of her thighs, and you've got this whole bloodlusted vision border going on. The sequence branches off into her opening a literal black hole or going into this palm thrust stance, and that impact frames into this back-bending lean pose showing off her defined abs, and some dark lettering behind the sword. Legitimately, with a little rendering, some of these frames could be mistaken for drawn masterpieces. Now, when I compare this to Wuthering Waves' epic attack cutscene animations, I honestly thought it could go either way. But at the end of the day, I couldn't ignore the little extra push that went into PGR's camera angles, perspective distortions, borders, special effects, references, posing, and simply the intensity of the power that you feel from looking at Alpha. And it's not cheap, it's not gimmicky, we don't have fan service, no excessive aura farming, just pure ethical craft. So with all of that considered, PGR is just a cut above when it comes to these cutscene animations. And next, let's not forget the choreography and the rest of her kit outside of that. And yes, I consider this another category in itself, where again, a lot of gachas do this well, but PGR takes pride in doing more than just settling for doing it well. Here's the thing, sword-wielding attack kits have been done for decades across multiple game genres. But how come when PGR does it, it still feels fresh, it still feels new? These movements and attack patterns are not new, but the execution and fluidity in which they transition into each other is just better. And the range of different attacks in her bag is simply insane. Like, okay, you got the mid-air stuff, you got the charged combo into the back-facing stab, into the dash attacks, the flurries of ranged slashes too. Like, come on, is that even fair? She just backs up, starts kiting you, and starts throwing sword slashes at you. Then you got this slash that kind of, I don't know, it travels as a wave. It's a display of mastery on Alpha's part to have all of these moves being the war machine that she is, but also from the animators who can fluidly implement such a variety of attacks. But my favorite among these attack chains is this sequence where she does this subtle overhead twirl as she's cutting. It looks unique, it looks graceful, I love it. In a recent video, I also covered Yuki, who does also have elaborate attack chains like this, And as complex as they made that kit, I think Alpha's is still deeper. They are similar in a lot of ways, these two, but I still feel that Alpha edges this category out, and that shouldn't really be surprising considering that PGR is a more specialized hardcore combat game. Now, there is a third often overlooked category that is relevant to Alpha and PGR characters in general, and that is the lore X model connection. How well do they implement the world building and the character backstory into the character's model itself? This is absolutely a thing because it's those details that give the visual elements more weight and more meaning. PGR's lore goes quite deep and it's heavily entrenched into the character models. These mechanical parts in nearly every character are not an accident. Alpha's background lore had me very intrigued, so allow me the pleasure of sharing it to you as simple as I can. Of course, do note that these are spoilers and that I'm also a fairly new PGR player, so apologies in advance if my recount of the lore is a little generalized or inaccurate in some parts. In the world of PGR, there's this virus called the Punishing Virus, engineered by, let's just say, the bad guys, and it absolutely decimates human soldiers, so humans can't fight against it naturally. And so the solution was, let's convert humans into machines, also known as constructs. So basically machine bodies infused with a human's consciousness and memories. So they extract your consciousness and your memories from your brain and turn it into neural data and put that neural data into a machine mind, and they put that into that machine soldier body. Everything physical is discarded. There's no actual human body parts that carry over. So in all of these models that we analyze, none of these characters have any actual human parts. But they do have synthetic human features. See, if you become a construct, your machine body will likely be made to resemble your human body's features closely. And this is a big thing because it anchors your identity and it prevents you from going crazy, which is a common thing because the transition into a construct body is often so jarring that you lose your sense of self. So being able to see your body and your face in the mirror and recognize yourself and be like, yeah, that's me, that does go a long way. Obviously, that's already a little dark and poses a huge question philosophically, and it's very core to the game. If you transferred your consciousness, your memories, your mind over into a machine but discarded the rest of yourself, is that really still you? Now, let me tell you about Alpha. So originally there was a construct named Lucia. She was with the good guys, but long story short, while she was on a mission, she got captured, traumatized, and basically sent on a path to become a living weapon. Over time, she lost a lot of her personality and ideals, which unlocked her full combat potential because those things kind of held her back from reaching that full potential. She is later known as Alpha, and that's the one you saw in all of those animations earlier. Now, Lucia's team just assumed she was a goner, so they restored her by putting a backup of her consciousness into a new construct body. And so that new Lucia construct identity goes on to live and retains her original personality, ideals, memories, everything intact. So essentially now you have two Lucias running around. The original Lucia construct became Alpha, the fully unlocked war demon that has very little in common with her former self. Then there's the restored Lucia, who's just simply known as Lucia, and she's just essentially what she would have been if she didn't go down that dark path. And this obviously leads into a discussion of who's the more real, more genuine Lucia. Isn't it Alpha? Some would say, because although she went down a dark path that changed her dramatically, oftentimes that's just how life works. We are shaped by everything that happens to us, both good and bad. And from that perspective, Alpha is the Lucia who actually lived through those experiences uninterrupted and became the person she is today. While on the other hand, others argue that the reconstructed Lucia is the more genuine one because she represents who Lucia would have remained if those tragic events had never occurred. So she retains the values, ideals, personality that defined her before her life took a devastating turn. So those who value continuity, an uninterrupted existence, they would answer Alpha. While those who factor in base nature more would answer Lucia. And those without a backbone would say, they're both equally valid. I'm kidding. But I would say I'm on the Alpha side, right? Because, well, let's use the analogy of game saves, right? Whatever game it is, sometimes bad RNG or decisions can ruin your playthrough, your save file. And then you have the choice of living with it and continuing, Or you can save scum and go back to an earlier point to salvage your perfect little save file, but I find that kind of Mickey Mouse. But this is all besides the point. The point is, the lore in PGR gets me thinking and invested because of interesting things like this. And sure, every gacha has interesting tidbits and thought-provoking moments, but alpha's stuff goes a little beyond. And again, in every character model, the world, the rules of PGR are imprinted onto them in those mechanical elements. And the trauma and weight of the dark path Alpha walked on is evident all throughout her visuals, her animations. So those are the three specific categories I think PGR models do better than any other gacha, but does that mean that they're the best models overall? My answer is no. The reason being, there are many other qualities 3D models can possess that you have to consider. Character expressionality, textures and material work, personality conveyance, storytelling, outfit design, there's a lot. And while PGR's models are good at all of these too, they don't excel in them as much as they do excel in their animations, combat, and lore implementation. And that's okay because the game is clearly meant to excel in its own lane. A combat-focused game with ultra-stylish and high-effort animations. PGR knows its priorities. For example, they're not going to have meticulous braids like Sigrika, though it's always interesting to see the various low-poly solutions they use. This braid is essentially just a prism with every other edge shrunk down, and her cape details exist almost entirely on this huge plane with an alpha texture. Kinda crazy if you think about it. Their models are optimized for the scenarios and distance they will be viewed from. The tangible world of PGR exists almost purely in combat scenarios viewed 10 to 20 feet away, so their models are crafted with that in mind. It doesn't have an open world where you can zoom in on every single outfit detail and see some fun idle animations, and also it has no need for extensive facial expressions like other games with more cinematic story cutscenes. So it goes without saying their models can't really compete in those specific aspects, but again, that's okay because it allows them to focus on what they do best. Alpha kind of embodies that as well, discarding a lot of things that aren't necessary for attaining her goals. She went on a path that maximized her lethality as a warrior. Pure offense, no time to develop protection, support, and teamwork skills. And of course, she had to detach significantly from human emotion, deep interpersonal relationships, and other things often held close to one's own identity. But in what she specializes in, she stands at the apex of it. So I would sum it up like this. PGR's models IMO are the best in those categories we mentioned, but not necessarily the best overall. For example, when compared to Wuthering Waves, PGRs are more specialized, whereas Wuwa is more well-rounded. In terms of overall, the two games are really close for my favorite 3D models in the genre, but Wuthering Waves still slightly above, the deal breaker being up-close detail and general versatility in favor of Wuthering Waves. But that's just me and my personal criteria. And I'll have more models and more games coming up on the channel. Stay tuned and I'll see you in the next one. Have yourselves a good night.